We begin now with Meseches Eruvin. This is Eruvin Daf Beis Amud Aleph. This is Eruvin Daf 2a. The Mishnah says, Mavoi shu gavoa lamala me'asr ma'amu. Let's say you have an alley which is higher than 20 amos. Yima'it, you need to lower it. Rashi here explains. Mavoi shu gavoa sheinichas hakora lamala me'asr ma'amu. The case over here is that the beam that you're placing at the entrance of the mavoi is higher than 20 amos. The kora zu lahatir letaltil lasocha ba. The purpose of this beam is to allow you to carry within the mavoi. The midoraisa itzar hotzoas Rosh Hashanah Shabbos. On a doraisa level, Rashi says you're not a carrying Rosh Hashanah on Shabbos. Umahi Rosh Hashanah. Now Rashi says, what is a Rosh Hashanah? Sratio platio gadola. It means a big thoroughfare. Kid Amron beperak Yitzias HaShabbos, like we say in Perak Yitzias HaShabbos. Shedomin ledigle midbar. We compare it to the degolim, to the traveling of the flags in the midbar. Dechol mili de Shabbos mi Mishkan Gamrin. And everything when it comes to Hilchos Shabbos is learned out from the Mishkan. Va'agolos shel Leviim berochav yudvav ama azli. Rashi says that the wagons of the Leviim were 16 amos wide. Kid Amrin and Ba'azorik. That's what it says in Azorik. Hilkach lo havi Rosh Hashanah botzer miyud vavama. Therefore, to qualify as a Rosh Hashanah, the thoroughfare would need to be at least 16 amos wide, rochav, the width. Umefulish mibeis rosh, and it also has to be open at both sides, so it has to be a street that's open-ended on both ends. Avol mavoi katzerhu, but a mavoi is more narrow. Ve'eno rochav yud vavama. It's not 16 amos wide. Ve'inami rochav, and even if it were 16 amos wide, eno mefulish ala rosho echad. It's only open on one side. Pasuach l'Rosh Hashanah, open to Rosh Hashanah. V'rosho echad sasim. The other side is closed. Di'i have him foolish, because if it was completely open on both sides, lo have a mystery bekora, you wouldn't be allowed to use a kora. Kedamrina begamar, as the Gemara will say. V'kevan delav Rosh Hashanah, who since it's not Rosh Hashanah, shori letiltule beimin haTorah b'li shum tikun. Really, you could carry in there midoraisa without any tikun, without any fixing. V'rabbanon gazer alam mishum da'asi lechlufe b'Rosh Hashanah. But the Rabbanon made a gezeira that you need to do something so that you don't get confused between this area, this mavui, and a real Rosh Hashanah. And they allow it either by putting a lechi, which is a pole at the side of the entrance of the mavui, or a kora, a beam which runs across the top. That way you have a hakera, you have a recognizable distinction. You won't come to allow carrying in a real Rosh Hashanah. And then the Mishnah says you might. So if it's too high up, if that beam is too high, lower it. Yashbil, you should lower it. V'taimim mefarish begemara. The Gemara will explain the reason. Rabbi Yehuda says, Einot tzarech, you don't need to lower it. V'harachav me'aser amos, you might. And then the Mishnah continues that if the mavui is wider than 10 amos, you also need to make it smaller. Rashi says, V'harachav me'aser amos, you might. Zeu shir rochav stam psachim. We're talking about the entrance to the mavui. The width of an entrance to a stam pesach, a stam doorway, is going to be 10 amos. Utvei mehachi lo mikru pesach. If it's bigger than that, it's not called a pesach. It's not called a doorway or an entryway. El pirza. It's called a pirza, which is basically a break in the wall. Vanon bin and pesach. We need it to qualify as an entry point, as a door. V'tzarich linots konim l'mayit rochav knisasa ulahamido al esra al pachas. What you would need to do is put konim, put some kind of fencing that's going to run along the sides of your entrance so that the doorway is 10 amos or less. If it is more than 10 amos, then you're going to have this problem that it's not considered a doorway. So basically it's saying you need to minimize the width of that entry point in order to make it a doorway to qualify as the entrance of the mavui that you can now carry. Now, if you have a tzuras hapesach at the entrance, even if it's a doorway or an entryway that's wider than 10 amos, you do not need to make it less. Rashi says, what is a tzuras hapesach? Lechi mikan v'lechi mikan. It means you have a pole on each side, v'kora al gabehen, and then you have a beam on the top. You can take a look at this picture to see what the mavoi looks like with its tzuras hapesach. This area over here is the mavoi. As you can see, it is closed in the back. It is not mefulish on two sides. It's closed in the back. And then here, the alephes over here are going to be lechis, and this base that runs across the top, that is going to be the kora on top. This is a tzuras hapesach. The Mishnah is saying at the end that as long as you have this tzuras hapesach, you don't need to worry about this width being more than 10 amos. If you don't have that tzuras hapesach, then this has to be 10 amos or less. And again, the issue in the Mishnah is, what about this beam? Let's say you only have a beam at the entryway, which is this letter beis. Does that beam is allowed to be higher than 20 amos or not? That is a machlokas between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah. Gemara says, Tanan Hasam, we learned in the Mishnah over there. Sukkah shigavoa lamala master mama psula. Talking about, this is in Meseches Sukkah. It says that if you have a sukkah where the schach is higher than 20 amos, it's puzzle. For Rabbi Yehuda machshir, Rabbi Yehuda says it's fine. So the Gemara asks, Maishno sukkah gabe sukkah the tani psula v'gabe mavoi tani takanta. How come when it comes to hilchas sukkah, the language of the Mishnah is it is puzzle, but when it comes to the halachas of a mavoi, the halachas here in Meseches Eruvin, we give you a way to fix it. We tell you to lower. It's a technical question. Why not just say lower the schach? So the Gemara answers, Sukkah do raisa tani psula. Since Sukkah is a do raisa, we use the language of psula. Mavoi derabanan tani takanta. But Mavoi, which is an issue miderabanan, as Rashi just explained earlier, so there we tell you how to fix it. V'boy same, another answer we could give, do raisa nami tani takanta. By do raisas also, we'd be willing to teach a way to fix it. Elo Sukkah denefishin mile, but by Sukkah there's many issues in that Mishnah. So pasuk v'tani psula, we learn in a short manner just the word psula. It's puzzle, it's no good. Mavoi delon nefishim mili, but Mavoi, where we don't have a lot of things in this Mishnah, tani takanta, we give you the way to fix it. Rashi here explains. The tani takanta, the tani yemait v'lo tani puzzle. It says lowered, it doesn't say it's puzzle. Sukkah, so Rashi explains the time of the do raisa. Sukkah is a din do raisa kedarmin and hasam milaman yedu dorosechem. It's learned from the pasuk of laman yedu dorosechem. So tani psula. So therefore it says the language of psula. Hoel akvar mimos Moshe nitna midazu. This halach is already from the days of Moshe Rabbeinu. Hubo chachamim lefarish lach, and the chacham are explaining to you shem loas lakein psula, that if you don't do it the proper way, it's psula. So shayich lemisni bo lashon paslas. You can have this language of paslas, of psul. V'av agav de mahanya botakanta. Now, even though there is a thing you could do to fix it, kol kam de lo masakin lo ikri psula. If you haven't done that, it's called psula. Mavoi de cholikari de rabbanan, but when it comes to mavoi, which is all midrabbanan, lo shaykh lememar be lashon paslas. You can't say this language of paslas, of psul. Sharekan hischila roscheski mavoi v'sarosov. Here's where we're beginning to introduce the laws. Umay psul shaykh lememar. Why would you say the word puzzle? Akati lo hodiyuch rabbanan shiuri b'hach. We haven't even told you the right measurements. The listening lo asakain puzzle that we should say if you don't do it the right way, it's puzzle. Then the Gemara went on to say doraisa nami tani takant. It's possible by doraisa. You could also have a way to fix it. Be'alma b'mili achrin in other situations, but here the nefishi mili, here when it comes to Hilchas Sukkah, there were many issues in that Mishnah. The katani hasam v'shein la shalosh tefanos v'shein agavu asara. It says over there if it doesn't have 3 walls, if it's not 10 high, v'shecham sumru b'mitzilsa, if there's more sun than shade. So therefore, to go teach all the different ways to fix it, it's not good. Pasuk v'tani psula. Better just to say the word psula. The hashtem matzikayel v'tani lokulu kechada. We can learn them all at once. The avatani takanta, because if we started listing the ways you could fix the problem, lo have we couldn't put them all together. Let's say you had a sukkah without 3 walls, you'd have to write the words make a wall. If it's not tall enough, you'd have to say lift it. So if there's too much sun, you'd have to say add schach. We know the master said you should always teach in a short fashion, so we don't want to be lengthy in that Mishnah, but over here where we're only dealing with one halacha, it's not a problem to list the way that you can fix the problem. Gemara continues, Amar Rav Yudah Marav. Rav Yudah says in the name of Rav, Chachamim lo limdua elam pischo shel heichel, v'Rav Yehuda lo lamda elam pischo shel ulam. This machlok is between the Chachamim and Rav Yehuda in our Mishnah about whether the Korah is allowed to be higher than 20 amos. It's coming from learning from the Beis HaMikdash. The Chachamim learn it from the entryway to the heichel, and Rav Yehuda learns it from the entry to the ulam. In the Beis HaMikdash, the heichel was the main part of the Beis HaMikdash where you had in there the inner mizbeach, you had the shulchan, you had the menorah in there, and in front of the heichel there was an ulam, which was like a hall, which you entered before you entered to the actual heichel, and we're learning out the dimensions of a Pesach from either the heichel or from the ulam. The Tanan, as we learned in the Mishnah, Pischo shel heichel, what was the entryway of the heichel like? Gavo Eser Amos was 20 amos high. That's where the Chachamim learned the 20 amos from. V'rachvo Eser Amos, and the width was 10 amos. V'shel ulam, and the entry into the ulam, Gavo Arboim Amos, that was 40 amos high. V'rachvo Eser Amos, and the width of that entry point was 20 amos. Ushnei and Mikra Echad Darshu, and they're all learning from the same pasuk. It says in the pasuk, V'shachatu Pesach Oel Moed. It says that they slaughter at the Pesach, that's the key word, at the entryway, at the doorway of the Oel Moed. The Rabbanan Savri Kedushas Heichel L'chud, or Kedushas Ulam L'chud. The Rabbanan hold that there's two separate Kedushas. There's the Kedusha of the Heichel and the Kedusha of the Ulam, and we're talking, when we use the word Pesach, we're talking about the Heichel. You have to go by the dimensions of the Heichel. V'chiksiv Pesach Oel Moed, HaHeichel Ksiv. When it says the term Pesach Oel Moed, it refers to the Heichel. For Rabbi Yehuda Savar, Rabbi Yehuda holds, Heichel v'Ulam Kedusha Achasi. The Heichel and the Ulam are identical Kedushas. V'chiksiv Pesach Oel Moed, when it says the term Pesach Oel Moed, Atarva Yehuda Ksiv. It could be going on both of them. Rashi here explains, Oel Moed, hu ha-heichol, the word Oel Moed refers to the heichol. Shasham hayanasun mizbeach hazav, hashulchan v'hamenorah. That's where we find the mizbeach hazav, the golden mizbeach, the inner mizbeach, the shulchan which had the lechem aponim on it, and the menorah. Uvekulu ksiv Oel Moed. Always says Oel Moed over there. Rabbanan Savri Kedushas Ulam Lav Kedushas Heichel. The Rabbanan hold that the sanctity of the Ulam, which again was the hall that was in front of when you entered into the actual Heichel of the Beis HaMikdash, that's not the same as the Heichel. V'chol avodos ha'amuras beheichel. So according to the Rabbanan, any avoda which is supposed to be done in the Heichel, you have a ovid luhu be'ulam shalafanav. If you did it in the Ulam which was in front of the Heichel, lo miskashri, it wouldn't be kosher. Hilkach lo mikri Oel Moed. Therefore, the Ulam is not called Oel Moed. V'lo eshkechan kra delikri lepesach delay Pesach. So it's never used the word Pesach by the Ulam. In other words, the pasuk says Pesach Oel Moed, so it uses the word Pesach. That's the entryway, and it uses the term Oel Moed. According to the Rabbanan, the term Oel Moed can only refer to the Heichel in the Beis HaMikdash. In contrast, Rabbi Yehuda holds no. The term Pesach Oel Moed can even refer to the Pesach of the Ulam, because you're allowed to do the avodah that's done in the Heichel. You can do it in the Ulam as well. And the Gemara now gives another approach to Rabbi Yehuda. It could be that according to Rabbi Yehuda, the Kedusha of the Ulam and the Kedusha of the Heichel are separate, and you're not allowed to do the avodah that you do in the Heichel in the Ulam. And here, the real reason of Rabbi Yehuda is as follows: because it says in a pasuk in Yechezkel, Al Pesach Ulam Habayis. So you see that it uses the word Pesach by Ulam, and that's really the source of Rabbi Yehuda, that we can learn the dimensions of the doorway from the Pesach of the Ulam. The Rabbanan respond to that. Have a cause of El Pesach Ulam Kedeka'amrit. If it would have said Pesach Ulam, that would be like what you're saying. Ha'ashda dechsiv El Pesach Ulam Habayis. But now it says the words Ulam Habayis, Habayis Hapasuach L'Ulam. The way to read that pasuk is, it's the bayis which opens up into the Ulam. It's not referring to the doorway of the Ulam itself. Rashi says El Pesach Ulam Alma Pischa Ikri. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you see that the Pesach of the Oel is called a Pesach, and the Rabbanan say no, it's Habayis Hapasuach L'Ulam. It refers to the bayis which enters into the Ulam. V'hu Heichel. That's really the Heichel. It really is the doorway of the Heichel. So according to the Rabbanan, again, we don't go by the dimensions of the doorway of the Ulam. We go by the dimensions of the doorway of the Heichel. So the Gemara says, "V'achik ksiv hai b'mishkan ksiv." But 1 second, this entire pasuk that we're starting from, Pesach Oel Moed, is talking about the Mishkan. Where do we see anything about the Beis HaMikdash here? Rashi here explains, "V'achik ksiv Pesach Oel Moed b'mishkan shehaya b'midbar ksiv." This whole pasuk of Pesach Oel Moed is written by the Mishkan. V'sham lo haya ulam. There wasn't even an ulam in that Mishkan. There was no ulam by the Mishkan. U'Pesach Heichel Yud Amosu. The doorway of the Heichel was 10 amos high. The Gavoa, that's how high it was. Sha'kroshim lo haya ela 10 amos govern, because the kroshim, which were put up lengthwise in the Mishkan, their length was 10 amos, was 10 amos, so the height's only 10 amos. So if we're going by Pesach Oel Moed, why are we going by the dimensions of the entry point of the Heichel of the Beis HaMikdash? We should go by the dimensions of the entry point to the Heichel, which was to the Heichel of the Mishkan, which is much smaller. So the whole source doesn't really make sense. So the Gemara says, Eshkechan Mishkan de Ikri Mikdash, or Mikdash de Ikri Mishkan. We sometimes find, or we find in general, that the Mishkan can be called Mikdash, the Mikdash can be called Mishkan. Therefore, the two are interchangeable. So even though it says Pesach Oel Moed by the Mishkan, we can use the dimensions of the Beis HaMikdash. Because if you did not say that, Hada Amar Rav Yehuda Mar Shmuel, that statement which was made by Rav Yehuda in the name of Shmuel, Shlomim sheshachtan kodem psichas dalsos ha'hechel psul. He said a halacha that a carbon shlomim that's shechted before they open the doors of the Heichel are pasul. Shenamar, like it says, v'shachtu Pesach Oel Moed. It says you shech the animals at the entry of the Oel Moed. Bizman shepsuchin, we darshan that the doors have to be open. V'lo bizman shein neulim. It cannot be shechted when the doors are closed. So the Gemara says, that pasuk also is written by the Mishkan, yet you're putting a halacha here by the Beis HaMikdash. Rather, we find the Mikdash is sometimes called Mishkan, the Mishkan is sometimes called Mikdash, so it's not a problem. Rashi says, Shlomim sheshachtan shachar is kodem psichas dalsos ha'hechel psul, and again, you shecht a carbon shlomim before the doors are open, that's pasul. Ha b'mishkan ksiv u'veso lamim minalan. Pasuk's written by the Mishkan. How do you know this halacha applies to the Beis HaMikdash? Obviously, the two are interchangeable. Gemara says, where do we find the terms used interchangeably? Bishlam HaMikdash, Dikri Mishkan. I find cases, it's correct that I find cases where the Mikdash is called Mishkan. Techsivin Asati Mishkani Besochim. It says, I'm going to place the Mishkan among you. Now, in this particular Pasuk, the Mishkan was already put up, it was already erected, so why are we talking, what future Mishkan are we talking about? Obviously, we're talking about the Beis HaMikdash. Ela Mishkan de Ikri Mikdash Minolan, but where do we find the Mishkan called Mikdash? If you're going to say, it comes from the following pasuk. V'nasu hakahasim nosei hamikdash. The kasim carried the Mikdash, talking about the Mishkan. Vehikimu es hamishkan, and then they put up the Mishkan ad boam until they came there. And the Gemara will continue with this discussion. We'll see it in the next video on Daf Beis Amud Beis.